So this
Okay.
is really a casual kind of meeting, kind of webinar where we welcome participation and we really encourage you to turn on your video and your mic. If you've got a lot of background noise or something's going on where you need to mute yourself, please feel free to do that. And if you're not comfortable showing your video, that's okay too. But we want this to be interactive. So you're encouraged and invited to use this as sort of a virtual networking opportunity, and it's very conversational. So, for those of you who aren't super practiced in Zoom, I want to kind of acknowledge that sometimes the big Brady Bunch view can be a little distracting and overwhelming. If that's the case for you, on the top right corner of your screen, you should have a little icon that looks like a grid of squares and it says view. You can change from gallery view, which is this, to speaker view. And that will allow Zoom to focus and you'll see just the person who's speaking most of the time. If there are multiple people speaking at once, sometimes Zoom gets a little bit weird about it, but for the most part, you're going to see the person who's speaking. There are also a few other options in there. You can go full screen. You can bring up on the bottom of your display. There should be a little Q&A icon and a chat icon. And if you have questions that come up and you're not comfortable speaking up, you can chat or use Q&A to share your questions, and Rob and I will monitor that as well. And I think from a logistics point of view, we don't have to talk about like emergency exits and restrooms. I trust you're in a place where you know where those are. So I'm going to turn it over to Rob to really give us the official kickoff. Unless you have a question. If you have a question, let us know. Speak up, chat, Q&A, and Caitlin, Rob, Jen, and I will be sure to address them.
And I'll note that Javad, since Patty also shows up as Rob Clayman, Javad just sent me a note that says he likes the alternate Rob Clayman better than the original. Thank you for
Yeah.
that, Javad.
She's much prettier.
Oh
Absolutely.
gosh.
Um, on that note, I think we'll get started, officially get started. We want to welcome everybody to this is our second Amplify Oshkosh Coffee Clutch event. So we're really happy with the turnout, and we think we've got a great moderator speaker today, and Tina's going to introduce Jenny in a bit. But I just wanted to note, first off, for those that are maybe new to Amplify Oshkosh, a lot of you already know about Amplify Oshkosh, but again, I'm Rob Clayman. I'm with the Oshkosh Chamber of Commerce, and also serving as staff to Amplify in addition to my economic development duties here. But Amplify, it's a program of the Oshkosh Chamber, really a grassroots initiative designed to increase awareness of IT and digital careers in our region, in our area, and really kind of a collaboration with business, education, public and private sectors. The consortium is really comprised of leaders from all those sectors. It's been around now for 6 years. It's amazing how fast time flies. And we've engaged with over 1,000 distinct individuals with our programming and events over these few years. So please reach out to me at the Chamber if you want to find out more about Amplify, how to get more involved. If you're interested in sponsoring, we've got events and activities. And just to learn more, please feel free to give me a call or email me at rob@oshkoshchamber.com. And we've got a great group of consortium leaders that help us with that and would love to chat with you about it. So I want to also take the opportunity to thank our annual sponsors that step up on an annual basis to support Amplifying our efforts and have helped us with staffing and et cetera. We have platinum level sponsors, Oshkosh Corporation, the Oshkosh Area School District, and SmartIS. Gold level sponsors, Fox Valley Technical College, Bank First, and Stellar Blue Technologies. And then silver level from Change Management, and most recently jumping on board is Whipley. So we're glad to have them aboard. And we also receive support from many businesses throughout the year for many of our events, our Ideas Amplified series, not only our coffee clutch, but our annual big event, our Leadership Academy and other initiatives. So, I mean, there's a lot of support out there that's gone into this. And Amplify is happy to partner with many. There's other organizations that are promoting digital and IT careers. And we're just a cog on that wheel. We want to help promote that and work with the other partners that are out there as well, like the NEW, the New IT Alliance and WIT and many others that are doing great work. So just want to mention that. So now with that being said, I would like to turn it over to Tina Schalke from Change Management. She is an original consortium, just like a founder like Javad was and some others. And Molly was really part of that group as well back in 2014. And we've got, I don't want to miss any consortium members here, but Jeff McBride from Thrivent is a current consortium member. Caitlin McWilliams is a staff person, was with the chamber, is now with SmartIS, but is still, and Caitlin I know is online here, is still helping Amplify through SmartIS for many of the duties many of the activities that she helped us carry out when she worked at the chamber. So we're really glad to have Caitlin still with us. That's great, and appreciate that support from SmartIS. But so Tina chairs our marketing and events committee and is involved in pretty much everything Amplify. So Tina, without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Hey, thanks, Rob. And thanks to all of you, and especially our Amplify consortium members. I invite any of you to get in touch with Rob if you want to be a bigger part of Amplify. We're growing, we're innovating, and we really welcome the contributions of others. So if you want to get involved, please join in, and there's lots of ways to do that. But really, the most important thing I'm here to do is introduce you to Jenny Molash. Jenny is a regional HR leader at US Venture, and US Venture is an innovative leader in the distribution of petroleum and renewable energy products with data-driven insights in the global movement of goods. In her career, Jenny is passionate about transformation and driving people strategies to accelerate the growth of the business, but even more important, the growth of people. Jenny holds a bachelor's degree from Silver Lake College, and she double majored in human resources and business management. She's achieved the SHRM Certified Professional certification and the Professional in Human Resources designation. And firsthand, I've had the pleasure and really the honor of working with Jenny and being a witness and admirer of her commitment to growing her career and value as a leader. Jenny is dependable to seek and drive learning experiences for herself and others, and she accomplishes that with a perfect blend of passion, openness, honesty, and empathy. She has time and time again lit up a path for herself and others in kind of a field of chaos sometimes to grow and lead. And it's so cool to see that happen in our community, in our region, and to watch somebody close to you really do that for herself and others. Jenny enjoys being an active part of the Oshkosh community beyond her work and time as a mom. She's serving as a board member for Big Brothers Big Sisters of East Central Wisconsin, and she also serves as a board member for the Oshkosh area SHRM. And you wouldn't think that she has it, but in her free time, she does have it. You'll find Jenny and her family enjoying outside, being outside and active, and also listening to live music. I think I see Jenny at every live music event I attend, and I know she goes to even more that I don't see her at. So welcome, Jenny. Thank you for doing this with us. You were absolutely our first choice, and I'm so glad that you chose to be part of this coffee clutch during this crazy time of everything being virtual.
Well, thank you so much, Tina, and thank you that was the most kind, thoughtful introduction I have ever received. I'm getting emotional over here. Thank you very much for that. You've always been a very, very dear friend. All right, so thank you everybody for joining us today. I am so excited to be here with you to talk about this exciting topic of job searching, recruiting, and onboarding, all in this work from home environment. I don't know about you all, but in the last 10 months, things I would say have changed pretty dramatically. I've noticed that my emotions have been all over the board, and stress level lots and lots of change that we've all gone through. I don't know about you, but I can't count on all of my fingers and toes how many times I have asked the question, do you have your mask? And made the statement, you're on mute. So those two things are things I never would have dreamed of looking back to even last year. And our world has just changed and shifted so much, which is both, as perhaps you can all relate, exciting and scary at the same time. So what I wanted to talk about a little bit today, first I thought we would just kind of look at, so we all know we've been through a lot of change and we've been resilient through that change. I wanted to get a feel for what does our audience look like today? Do we have more job seekers or employers, or are we a good mix of both? So if you wouldn't mind taking just a moment to share in the chat if you're a job seeker or an employer or both, or something that I didn't even mention. And Tina, if I could ask, I know you do a great job of just helping me navigate the chat. If I try to do too many things at once, I'll get distracted.
Yeah, I will take a look at that. And you can also add in, like, if you're employed but wanting to grow, like want to make that next move or step, if that's part of your career path too.
Oh, great. I can see them coming up towards the bottom, so that's helpful. Awesome. I'll continue chatting here, but if you wouldn't mind kind of giving me an overview or anything, if I need to focus more in one direction or not, that would be great. So as I look at where we are now, many businesses have thankfully been able to acclimate to a virtual environment. Some businesses may have been able to, it may be working from home and making that shift overnight. It may also be, how do we keep ourselves safe as we are working in the office or in our facilities? So with that, we have really been able to continue to learn and grow and see some improvements almost in this new virtual environment. So with that, some locations, particularly that I'm working with, are looking at decreasing the size of their physical footprint. They realize some efficiencies. With our sales team, we don't have to have as high of a travel budget for everyone. We can do things virtually instead. It can be easier to get time on the calendar of John Schmidt, our CEO, and just offer more flexibility in the high-level conversations that we can all have in a quicker and easier environment. So with that, though, I think as well, team members have found a love for the new work-life balance. Maybe not everybody. I'm sure some people are on the side of love working from home, and some people are also on the please get me back into the office. So I recognize, and feel free to share if you're one or the other on that spectrum as well. But with that, I had a couple of people back in the summer months when we hadn't offered quite enough clarity to our team members on what we were looking to do as we headed into the winter. We were to a point where we had left our last time frame of saying, hey, we're going to be home until at least June 15th. And with that, I had a lot of people start to reach out to me and say, wait a minute, I don't want to be coming back into the office full time. I have found a new level of work-life balance, and I'm not interested in being in the office 5 days a week, but I still want to continue to work at US Venture. So with that, one of the themes you'll hear me talk a lot about today is you cannot over-communicate. And so with that, we had to communicate and push out the date and give that visibility so that even once we do come back into the office, people are able to at least relax for a little while and know that they don't have to worry about it. But with that, as an employer, also looking at how are we thoughtful in that? We need to take that feedback and really think about what our plan will be moving forward. And from the job seeker perspective, thinking about, okay, whether I, unfortunately may have lost my position as a result of COVID, and looking to make a career move, have just recently graduated, or I'm on, looking at graduation soon, and I'm looking for a position. How do I do that without the easy access of getting in front of people physically? So all of these things have changed. And of course, with change, always can come, a series of emotions. But with that, it's really about how we choose to be able to navigate through that. So as an employer, we can also look at, in this environment, where is the pond that we're fishing from, so to speak? So our pool just got a lot greater. If we think about being able to expand and perhaps look at other geographies that we in the past were, looking for someone to be closer to us in remote. Also as a job seeker, I would encourage you to really spend some time thinking about that as well. If you're comfortable in the remote work environment, whether it be a blend of some in office, some at home, perhaps you could expand your horizon a little bit and go to a little bit further where you're not having to make an everyday longer commute. I know myself, I work with 2 companies that are in Green Bay, and with that, I go there maybe 1 to 2 days a week, which is really helpful to still have that flexibility in my life. And then also, as an employer, being able to look for people in a different location, or also being mindful of, as an employer, you know that you can look for people in a larger location, geography, but so are other companies. So being extremely intentional, and this is the other theme you'll hear me talk about, being extremely intentional about the care that you provide to your team members and letting them know that they are valued, because there will be, if not now, in the near future, there will continue to be more and more people coming for your top talent, and it just got that much easier. So first, did you have something to say, Tina?
Yes, you almost had to tell me to unmute. You're on mute. So one of the things that I wanted to ask you to touch on is, how do people get close as job seekers? We have several of them in today's Coffee Clutch. So as a job seeker virtually, like, what do you do to reach out and get close to those companies that you want to apply for a job, or, like that networking thing that we've done? I know you've got a lot of talent in that, but how does that happen now?
Yeah, so great segue. I was just heading into the job seeker piece, but I'll definitely touch on that point first. So one of the ways that I would recommend, networking is something that I have always recommended, being connected as much as you can with people. So physically, when it's an option and easier, of course, attend various networking events, get involved with various clubs or different committees or people who have similar interests to you. I mentioned some of my SHRM friends earlier. So that's one way that you can do that physically, but as we're in this virtual environment, it's just as, if not more important. So looking at using LinkedIn, it's a great tool to look for different groups just to be able to build those connections. And again, knowing they may not be all just in the Oshkosh area, you can find them from all over and connect. If you're in marketing, connect with someone, connect with a marketing group or an IT group, of course. Amplify, of course, being another great option in attending those virtual events. I would also recommend taking some time to be intentional and search through LinkedIn and set up some time with people that you think would be a great fit to be able to help you with your next step in your career journey. When you do that, I think that I would, let the person know why it is you chose to reach out with them. So you've spent some good time being thoughtful in choosing that person. Let them know what it is that you're looking for. So, hey, Molly, I would love to take some time to just chat with you. I'm really looking to grow in this area, and I see that you have some great experience here. And I would love to be able to set up 15 minutes where we can have coffee, and I could just maybe pick your brain for some knowledge. And it's amazing how, as we're all in this time of stress and change and all of those things, how thoughtful and kind people can be, and generous with the fact that they would love to be able to take that 15 minutes. Not only is it easier logistically, but they want to be able to help someone out. So I would definitely recommend reaching out on those avenues. But again, just being intentional about who you're reaching out to and not just sending a blanket email to say, hey, I would love to connect with some people. Does anyone want to be my friend? I wouldn't recommend that approach as much. Also with that, there are virtual hiring events. I would definitely recommend looking for virtual hiring events that may be in your area. And when you attend those events, and I'll go into a kind of a theme as well of dressing to impress. So be mindful of how you're showing up to those events, similar to the way you would an interview. Having, and I recommend not only the top portion of clothing that you feel is appropriate for the situation, but also don't go the route of wearing the yoga pants. If you can, and some of you may be guilty, but I'm just going to call it out, at least if you're looking to get promoted, if you're in an interview, or if you're in a virtual job fair or something like that, put on pants. maybe put on a little lipstick if you're interested, whatever makes you feel comfortable and confident. Really take that time to set yourself up for the most success. And then the last thing I would share on the virtual hiring event piece is taking the opportunity, if there's a Q&A at the end, take the opportunity, come prepared and ask a question or share your voice in some capacity, because the employers that are involved in that event are paying attention, and that will be your opportunity to get noticed and just be one more opportunity to help continue to advance yourself.
Thank you. Those are great points. Those are great points. Do any of you have questions? You can unmute your mic, or some ideas, like what's been working for you as an employer or as a job seeker during this time of all things virtual and digital? Are there ideas you have to share?
I'll share something because with the technology, like even this morning, you only have one chance to really impress. And I was even part of a meeting where my video wasn't working, but again, it's like, is it your side, my side, wherever? But if a person is new to doing the video conferencing, if they have a friend that can maybe send them a test link and just do a kind of a trial run, just to make sure your camera is even positioned well, sound, all of that. So then that way for your interview, you could really, impress so much better then too.
Yeah, that confidence, that test. It's so important. We really appreciate that our test went well today. We
Right.
started off not knowing we couldn't do video with everyone. Oh boy, okay, but Mark scrambled and got it done.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's such a key point. All things digital require a test.
Yes, and with
That's
that
true.
as well. First of all, Dawn, thank you so much. That was a great example of sharing your voice in a networking opportunity. So I love what you did there, and also great and awesome insight that you provided. With that, I would also just recommend thinking about the equipment that you have as well. So your camera and your microphone, not only doing that test of, do I know how to navigate the platform that we're using appropriately, but do I have the right setup? And do I feel comfortable with that? Can I be seen? Can I be heard well? Do I have good connectivity so that I'm going to be able to be heard fluently versus having it, interrupt in such a lot, can all be very important. And one other thing I would just quick add on the virtual interview piece is thinking about, or any networking event, is thinking about if you're physically in someone's space, one of the things that you can use to kind of know the person and understand them and get your feel and your vibe for them is their body language. And so I think that's an important thing that can sometimes be missed in the virtual environment. And one of the things with that is, having your camera at a place where you can see your hands, you can see your head's in an appropriate portion, you have the right angle, all of those things. But when people can see your hands, they just naturally tend to trust you more. It can be a very powerful tool if they see them in a good and productive manner. Now, also, if I were like this and having a conversation and sharing, that would give you a little bit of a different message. So just being mindful of what your body language looks like and giving your opportunity to be able to share what your body language is in the environment as well. Are there any other questions as far as from a job seeker perspective? I'd love to hear and just, want to be able to make this as rich of an experience for you all to be able to answer any specific questions that you have. And also for other people. I know I've had some experiences, but I know we have a lot of other very talented people on the call as well that may have other thoughts or suggestions or experiences to share with the group.
I would love to know, when you are working with an employee or manager internally, how do you help support them as they're looking to grow within the org? Because I know a lot of the discussion often can be looking outside of the organization, looking for new opportunities. But what is the way that you like to support managers and encourage them in their internal career progression?
Yes, thank you very much, Molly. And I love that you and Brett are together now that you just spoke. I can finally see the two of you. So hi, Brett, good to see you as well. So yes, one of the things that I recommend, as far as if you're looking to get promoted, it's always, that dress to impress aspect as well. And then I would recommend taking opportunities, again, the theme that I mentioned of you can't over communicate. You can't over communicate from a team member perspective, and knowing that you're checking in with your boss regularly and just kind of sharing with them, hey, this is something that I'm working on, keeping those open lines of communication to just help remind them of you. As bad as it sounds, I'm sure as a great leader, they're thinking of it, but it's also important to just really share, hey, I did this today and it went really, really well, or I have this question, or whatever it may be, to just keep them thinking about it. And from a book that I read called How Women Rise, I recommend it all the time. If you haven't read it, I would recommend that you do so. But in there, they talk about even when you're in a physical location, your leader doesn't know exactly what it is that you're doing at all times. So take any opportunity that you can to share that with them. And in a remote environment, it's even more important. So from a leadership perspective, as far as, if you're leading someone remotely who's looking to be able to get promoted, continuously have those conversations with them and be sharing with them on, where are they at? How are they doing in this environment? What are they looking for? Are they navigating things as far as they have a workload? How's that going? They may have children at home. They may be struggling with someone who has COVID or has other issues. There can be so many things going on. So staying attentive and intentional to your team members is extremely important, and letting them know their value. Being diligent about the development plan that you're offering and staying close in on those conversations. And then also just letting them know that you're not taking kind of a blanket approach. You're going to have a conversation with them as an individual. And that also, kind of brings some opportunity opportunity and accountability. So working with them to navigate that situation.
That's cool. Does anybody else have ideas or suggestions, either as a leader to help grow their team, the individuals in their team, and give them opportunity to grow, or as, a person in a job wanting to grow in their own organization? Um, I know that with our clients, our executive coaching program, and also leadership development programs, um, we're encouraging our clients to ask some real powerful questions in one-to-one settings with their supervisors or their boss, their direct boss, and that's really paid off.
This is Jeff McBride. And kind of go back to um, not so much the growth, but when you're talking about like if you're looking for a job, and how you present yourself on, the virtual meetings, et cetera. Because these have kind of been in place for quite a while, actually. It's more so now that a lot of people are remote, but I think it's also just as important, if not more important, if you're the leader, the hiring manager, when you're on those meetings as well with prospective employees, that you also present that professional look, because you're representing yourself and the company, et cetera. Not be checking emails, and like you said, even the same thing with the hand gestures, folding the arms, et cetera, because you're trying to sell and want to encourage that person to keep interest in the company and coming to work for your team. So I think it works on both sides. It's just as important.
That's really important, Jeff.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely, Jeff.
Hey, Jeff, I will so agree with that comment because earlier this year I was in the job market and I was blown away with my impression then of the person that was interviewing me. I guess I'll say the lack of professionalism. I I can still remember the exact moment. She grabbed a lip balm during this interview and starts putting it on her lips. I mean, I know I do that myself throughout the day, but right, we all have to try to be as live in the moment with these videos. But yeah, it's a two-way street there. We all have to do our parts, and probably even more so because it's live. That head is right in front of you on these computer screens instead of 6 feet across a conference table, or a desk or something. But yeah, good point.
There is this crazy balance between presenting yourself well and being a little camera shy. And I know that for me, when I was starting out with Zoom meetings, and it was really years ago, not Zoom, but different video meetings, Skype and Google Hangouts, and all those earlier versions of what we're doing today. Um, and even now, I find it difficult. Like right now, it's driving me absolutely batty. My bangs are too long. I want to go cut them right now. And so I'm constantly feeling like doing this, not only because they're in my eyes, but I can see myself. When I'm going about my work prior to virtual days, I didn't have to see myself that much. So I encourage you, if seeing yourself is getting in your way of being authentic and presenting yourself during an interview, use that trick. Change from gallery view with the person that you're communicating with to speaker view, and you'll only see them. You won't be bothered by yourself. Trust yourself. You show up just fine. You show up weird when you're looking in a mirror.
I agree with that completely. And
Yeah.
with that, it also provides distraction. I think that's one of the things that we're now navigating as well, with whether it be seeing yourself, seeing everybody else and what they're doing. Your emails are popping up. And, in the past, when we're in a physical space, I'm not going to be sitting there checking an email, but depending on what I pull up on my screen, you may not be able to tell. And so that's super important to be in the moment. And I just wanted to share onto what you had said, because I use this all of the time. You can actually, in Zoom at least, if you click on there, once you put your cursor up towards the top right of your picture frame, you'll have the 3 little dots, and you can actually hide your self view. So even if you're on that other view where you're looking more intimately at other people, I hide myself every time, because I do not want to be distracted by, my hair or what's going on or any of those things. I want to be present and in the moment and feel as though I'm in that space with the person. So that might be helpful as well.
Yeah. And then really back to, how do you grow your own career? Or in a job interview, there are 2 powerful questions I'm going to share with all of you as leaders and hiring professionals, and also as job seekers and professionals looking for work. Um, One question, powerful question, if you're an employee or a job seeker looking to grow, I always ask that direct supervisor or somebody who's interviewing me, um, or encourage people to ask. I haven't been interviewed for a job for a long time, but lots of proposals. Um, if there is one problem that I could help you solve today, what would that be? Like, what would I need to get started on right away if I have this job? Um, and you can ask your boss that in a one-to-one. Hey, what are you working on? What's one problem that I could help you solve today, or that you would like me to get started on? Ask for an experience if you want it. Hey, you know what? I've got a little extra bandwidth. I'd like to have this kind of experience. What do you have for me? Um, and then the inverse is true if you are a leader. Ask the people on your team, what kind of experiences do you want? Like, what's your next step? What do you want to do next? How can I help you grow that? So being really curious about what you need and what they need will help you build a deeper rapport, and it'll also give you opportunities to show off and show your value. Even if you mess it up, you get this new experience and you totally mess it up, but you say, look, this isn't going the way I thought. You're going to gain a lot of credibility. We all learn some things the hard way, so that's called experience.
Tina, as you mentioned the specific interview question, I love those examples. And it also reminds me of an interview question that you had shared with me about a year and a half ago, when I decided that I wanted to, start looking at my career journey and what my next step was. And that was, you go through the interview process, and, we'd asked and answered all of the questions. And then I had said, after the time that we have spent here today, what value do you feel that I could provide to the organization? And then, kind of a follow-up question to that was, is there anything that you feel that I'm missing? And one of the things, when Tina first said this to me, I was like, wow, I feel like this is like a drop the mic, walk out of the room kind of thing. But it really opened the door to a whole new conversation as well. I could, kind of hear what they heard from the message that I was delivering and then elaborate if there was something that they said, hey, one of the things I'm thinking of is I'm not sure if you have enough experience in X, Y, and Z. If I don't have the experience, I know it may not be a good fit, but if I do have the experience, that's an opportunity for me to say, oh, wait a minute, one moment, how about I tell you about this, and kind of have my foot in the door on that as well. So I used that one, and it was a powerful question just to help guide the conversation, and then also to help my confidence level as well.
Yeah. A lot of times it reveals what they're afraid of. Everybody, a lot of people, maybe not everybody, boy, I know I have good and bad hiring experiences, right? Like, wow, I hired that one. Great. I hired that one wrong. So that wasn't what I thought how this was going to work out. So that happens, and sometimes we frame as humans, right? We're all human. We will frame our next hiring experience, so as we lead a hiring experience, with a little bit of that fear of what went wrong before. So some of the questions that might come up are based on, I don't want that to ever happen again, so I'm going to ask all these questions just to make sure. And you, as the leader, may miss some important things. The other thing, as a job seeker, that you can tune into when you ask those questions is, um, what's really valuable to this person. If this person's my boss, what's really valuable to them? Because I want to make sure I, at least at minimum, accomplish everything that's valuable to them. And then you can do more, but and different, but at least cover those really high value things that they identify for you. So it's a matter of really asking questions, being curious, and listening with that openness.
Yeah, and with the to that point, Tina, there was one kind of interview process that I had gone through before I made the decision to come to US Venture, and I had asked that question, and exactly that happened. They answered the question for what was valuable to them because it was a question that they didn't expect. So, oftentimes they're kind of prepared for the generic questions of what is a candidate going to ask. When I kind of threw that question out there, you could tell that this person was taken aback, not quite prepared, and so therefore just naturally gave me the true answer that was important to them. And that in that situation, it let me know immediately that I was like, this is not it for me. This is not, I was intentional and I knew the things that were important to me going into the process, and we did not align. And so as soon as I left there, I was like, nope, this isn't going to be the one. So it really can help as you're, really thinking about making that next move and being sure that it's the right move for you.
So if you don't mind me jumping in on that, I do interviewing in my job. And Tina and Jenny, I actually really love when candidates ask that question because, it's almost impossible as an interviewer to hit on everything in an hour, right? And we want to make sure we're not missing important skills so we can really evaluate someone. And I would just say that I think the answer to that question also really helps a job seeker, because if you don't get the job and you continue to maybe interview for similar types of positions, it will give you that feedback on like, hey, I'm continuing to hear this as a gap and something that maybe I need to gain experience on if I want to continue to go down this path. So, it certainly adds value to both you and to the employer, in my opinion.
Oh, Cindy, that's great.
And with that, I would just add on from the employer side, as a result of my experiences with asking that question on a job seeker side, I now give the team is always asking, is there anything that you didn't get a chance to tell me today that you would like to? So even if the candidate hasn't heard this yet and thought to ask that question, we're giving them the opportunity to be able to offer that up to them and share anything insightful that was missed.
I love that.
I do something similar, Jenny, and it's more along the lines of, hey, as you reviewed this job, is there anything that you know, you want to add that I didn't ask about? And you'd be surprised. I mean, there's little nuggets that, you know, maybe don't come out on a job description, but the person will understand that that's valuable to that type of position in your organization. So you get some really good information, I think.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you very much, Cindy. Does anyone else have any other questions or anything specifically that they would like to talk about? Otherwise, I have some thoughts as well, and we can shift to onboarding as well, but want to give the opportunity for any questions or thoughts or experiences in this area as well. Okay. All right. Well, so onboarding. That's another thing that's changed a lot from kind of an employer perspective. And with that, you know, a couple of things can come into play. And what I really encourage from an employer perspective to do is really think about the candidate journey. And perhaps this is because I had my own journey as a new team member about 1.5 years ago. But as you're going through this journey, you go through this series of emotions where there's the like dreaded day, most stressful day where you're going in to give your notice to your current employer and all of the emotions that come in with that. Then there's the transition period of I've given my notice, I'm kind of wrapping some things up, maybe saying some of my goodbyes and all of those things. And then there's also, you know, the night before and day one and the days following as you begin your new position. So just kind of a couple of things to touch on. One, I would recommend in a virtual environment, you know, just taking the time to let people know and be really intentional about what it looks like as it's not as easy to connect. Now with that, as you know that they're in the process of wrapping up things at their previous employer and moving, you know, getting ready to come to your company, one of the things that we do is we send a message, a tribute message it's called, from tribute.com. And it's a video message and they take care of all of the logistics of compiling it to you, but we send it out to every person on the team. And so, you know, as they're in that time frame where there's a lot of going on and it's stressful, they get a video message from the team welcoming them from each individual person and talking a little bit about themselves and sharing why they're excited for this new person to join the team. Also with that, kind of sharing on the sending them some swag or a welcome basket with a handwritten card or something welcoming them, again, letting them know that they made the right choice and you're excited to have them join. And then as you get into one quick thing that I just need to share, because this was so impactful for me and so simple, and you can do it whether physical or virtual. But the night before I had started with US Venture, it was later in the evening. I am like a ball full of nerves, trying to just calm myself down, get ready to go to bed. And I get a text message from my soon-to-be leader as of the next day. And she just said, hey, I just wanted to let you know that I'm thinking of you. I know that tonight is, you know, kind of a big night as you get ready. I just wanted to remind you how excited we are to have you come join our team tomorrow. And that is something that was so impactful to me that I recommend it all of the time as I'm working with others as well. So just that power of being intentional. Then as you get forward into the days of onboarding, one of the things, as we all probably know, when you're in Zoom meetings, or many of you may know, when you're in Zoom meetings, about 5 hours of Zoom meetings is equal to a full 8-hour day of work. It is exhausting. And so with that, being mindful of that as you're creating the training schedule and the onboarding schedule. Perhaps you space things out a little bit more. You manage your expectations to know that you need to be patient with the team member because they don't have as easy of access to resources, to turning around and asking someone a question or gaining additional knowledge. And they also, you know, with an 8-hour day or with the Zoom meetings being so exhausting, think of the ones that are the most important to do in the beginning and space things out a little bit longer as to where you're not putting them in a full Zoom day. Or with that also, if there's an opportunity for you to offer resources where perhaps one of the things that we do is a self-guided virtual orientation where people can go through things at their own pace. And we know they're getting consistent information, and that allows for them to be able to revisit things if they need to, or also do it in a way that works for them and their family and their situation at that time, the way they're working from home. Does anyone else have any other thoughts or anything that they would like to share around some things to make for a great onboarding experience for a new team member?
Yeah, I kind of went through that this summer. It wasn't a full onboarding from a company perspective, but I had a person transfer onto my team during the summer. And there's a lot of like technical knowledge that they had to train on and have been learning over the last 6 months from my team in various sessions. So a lot of that applies, so they didn't have to go through all the company onboarding itself, but they, have been acclimated to the team. And it's presented some challenges because when we're in the office, it's easy to get up and walk to the next cube when somebody's not on the phone or in a meeting, where it is a little bit more of a challenge, having to actually schedule and be very discreet on how you set up your training sessions and the different onboarding things. It takes a lot more thought and how you're going to do that and work through that. So kind of those kind of things also prevent some challenges, but you have to be kind of innovative in how you do it.
Yes, absolutely, Jeff. Thank you very much for sharing. It is definitely a situation where we want to be intentional and really think about what all of the new opportunities are.
I oversee leadership development at Dealer Socket, and one of the things that I look and manage is making sure that all leaders are onboarded properly. I think that we spend a lot of time focusing on individual contributors, making sure that they get a good feel for the culture and that they're, feel invited and welcomed. But I think that with a lot of organizations, leaders kind of get the short end of the stick. They don't always get the same benefit and welcome as individual contributors, and they're just kind of shoved into this role with an existing team and not really sure what the culture is and the expectations of them in their new leadership role. And so one of the big things that I try to do is to make sure that they, similar to how your leader welcomed you, Jenny, make sure that they're welcomed. They receive a welcome email and they understand this is what you can expect for your onboarding process. You're going to receive the HR essentials so you know what systems we use, what are our processes and our policies and things like that. But then we're going to onboard you with the expectations around coaching and developing your team and making sure that you understand, emotional intelligence and you're feeling equipped with all these other layers. And so that's something that I've found to be really helpful. And also similar is creating some sort of like online portal. Actually created a website that outlines all the leadership on demand videos that they too can take in a self-paced way that they can go back and reference materials later on as well, and coaching them along that process.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Molly, for sharing. And you bring up a really good point. One of the things with that, it is absolutely so important to ensure not only the individual contributors and leaders both have the same level of experience. And one of the things that you can do to help with that is create a hiring manager toolbox, so to speak, where you're giving your hiring managers all of a bunch of resources and tips on how to create a great experience. So it might be a series of, 2 weeks out, you do this, 1 week out, you do this, 1 day out, you do this, so that they can go through and ensure that everything is ready on time. But then it also might be, just kind of a reminder, even though, there's lots of great leaders, we can often sometimes get rusty if we haven't onboarded a new hire in a long time, maybe either forget the process or forget the experience and the importance of what they're doing as they onboard their new team members. So giving them some tools and some reminders for that as well. And then it can also, of course, help with just kind of having that consistent experience, with which that consistency can help build your culture then as well, which is really important.
I have a question, because I've seen it come up with some of our clients, and of course it can always be addressed, but I'm curious, like from a crowdsourcing opportunity here, what do you do as employers when you're onboarding somebody, they're new and it's this virtual environment and there's still a lot of hiring activity going on, and somebody kind of gets lost in the system, like they're having a day or a time span where they're not quite up to speed and they don't know how to self start or where to self start on something. They get kind of lost. And I know that that can create, like, if it's unnoticed, it can create this chasm that can grow, where you may lose somebody who is a really good hire, but they just didn't know how to access what they needed or ask those really vulnerable questions, maybe. What do you do, and how do you notice if you're not really using somebody to their full potential early on in their onboarding and early on in their new career with you?
I'm trying to give an opportunity if anyone else has something they want to share before I share something. I'll kick it off for now, and maybe it'll spark another idea or thought. One of the things that we do is we pair all new hires with what we call a navigator. And that navigator is someone who is, perhaps probably on their team and someone that they can work closely with. So our ideal way to onboard is to have the first 2 days be a half day in the office where we can socially distance, but at least have the navigator and the new hire in the room together to be able to do some of the really important hands-on training for a more technical position. That doesn't always have to be the case though, but at least the navigator is someone who they know, and this is a great growth and development opportunity for the navigator as well, who's not quite in that leadership level, to be able to refine some of those leadership skills and be that very intentional and present person for them. So continuously checking in with them, helping them navigate through a lot of their onboarding process, being that go-to person. And so we pair them up right away, and actually the navigator will reach out to them before they start, kind of with a, hey, I'm going to be your navigator. I'm here to, be your resource to help get you through the, to help you through the, help you navigate the onboarding process. So that's one of the things that we do. Does anyone else have any other questions or thoughts to share? All right, well, one other thing that I'll just real quick add, and then Tina, I'll let you wrap it up. But just wanted to kind of, send a reminder again for all of us, either as job seekers, employees, employers, whatever it may be. The power of communicating constantly is so important in being intentional, as well as, one of the things that I would encourage is to give yourself grace. We're in a time right now where so much is coming at us, and there's so many emotions. Just knowing that where you're at right now, whether you be on the job seeker or the employer side and all of the things that you're navigating, this is a career journey, and you're going to focus on what your next step is and how to get there. Your next position may not be your forever position, but just, giving yourself that time and saying, hey, I'm doing the best that I can in the situation that I'm in right now. And here is my next step. Here is what I'm going to do and how I'm going to take control and make the best of it for me, for my family, for my future. Your journey doesn't end here.
Yeah, thank you. That's so important to know. And to really see the value in that. Know that that is valuable, even if it isn't the ultimate step you want to take. It is a valuable step in the direction that you're going. So, Jenny, wow, what a great conversation and so many great ideas. And for everyone who contributed and asked questions, thank you. How many of you scrambled? Like, did anybody have anything left? Like, is there anything left that you're wondering? Well, as you're, oh, Tony, you have, no, that's my hand on my screen. Tony, I had my hand over here. I'm like, Tony's got a hand up. I didn't know we could do that. No, it's just my little mouse. Okay, sorry. You know, you're part of Amplify. You've come to our coffee clutch. You're part of Amplify. If you're hiring and if you're looking for a job, either place, if you're growing your career and you want to connect with any of these professionals that you've seen online, get in touch with Rob. We can help connect you. The other thing is, if you have got a question or you want to try something new, or you need a place to equipment or a different place to conduct an interview. We've got all those connections and resources. So don't be afraid to ask. We are a resource, and this is exactly what Amplify is here to do. We're here to amplify your business, your career, your education with digital technology. And all these leaders in our community are on hand, ready to be there to get you what you need. So um, call on us. We're here. And thank you for participating. It's really, really great to see everyone. Rob,
Oh, sorry,
what
if
do-
I could quick add, Tina, I just added my email address into the chat. I just want to throw it out there. If anyone has any follow-up questions or something that ends up coming up down the road, or you'd like to get together to network, please feel free to reach out to me anytime. I would love to do that.
Terrific. Those 15-minute coffee meetings are great. Yeah. Rob, what do we need to close? Anything else?
I think you did it, Tina. You did great, and appreciate you moderating, Tina, and Jenny. Thanks for coordinating and moderating and leading this discussion today. I thought it was excellent.
And thank you guys very much.
Really appreciate.
All right. Well, everybody, enjoy the afternoon and enjoy this season. It's here to celebrate. So take care. And again, great to see you all. Let's stay in touch.
Have a great day, everybody.
Merry
Thank
Christmas.